Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Welcome to Politics Done Right from the studios of KPFT 90.1 FM, Houston, your community radio station. We have a great program for you today. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. Today we have a special guest with a very special announcement, a very good friend of KPFT, one who has appeared on just about every program, including yours truly, to put forth the word. Mustafaa Carroll, thank you so kindly for being a part of KPFT and also for just being here, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Well, look, I understand that you are now on the board of a particular organization and you guys have a special announcement. First of all, tell me a little bit about the organization that you're representing.
Well, I'm on the board of Americans United, the Houston chapter of the Americans United for Separation of Church and State. They've been longtime activists trying to make sure that we maintain our constitutional rights to separate church and state. And there's been an ongoing battle, as you may know, for years. And there are a lot of people who think that, that part of this country is a Christian nation. We're not against Christianity or Islam or Judaism or anything, but the country has separation of church and state for a reason. And that was from the beginning. So this organization actually works to assure that part of our Constitution is maintained.
Before we go further with the announcement, I just want to give a little bit of info to our audience, and based on what you've just said, I don't remember the particular quote unquote founding fathers, but several of them had distinctly and specifically said that there should be no relationship at all between church and state. But anyhow, Senor Carroll, why don't you tell us what you guys have planned in the near term, in the near future?
We're on this coming Wednesday, September the 21st, at 7 o'clock. We are having a program entitled Voter Suppression and Christian Nationalism's Attempt to Control Who Votes. There's been this unholy alliance, I guess, with some of our political players, our governmental agencies and people, especially in the state of Texas, to suppress voter registration. You saw it in the last election where they limited the amount of polling places, et cetera. And all of this is an orchestrated effort to assure that people who they may not want to vote will not vote. And they think it's to their best interest to do that. So we have a group of panelists that are coming, experts who are going to speak on this issue, and they're going to talk about the new ways, because, voter suppression has been going on forever. It used to be even more violent. If you look at our history, I did a program not too long ago on the history of voting, and all the way back from the time that voting started, we've had a hard history about suppressing the vote to the point that there have just been multiple murders back in the 1600s, the 1700s, the 1800s, and even up until the 1900s. We had lots of violence to stop people from voting. And one of my issues that I tell people, I said, if people will kill you, because you vote, that must have something to it. The fact that you can choose your leaders, or at least have the illusion of choosing your leaders.
Right.
I don't believe, that you're actually doing anything. But people who do vote, and that may be on the other side, those people get what they want. It's not, I would never tell anyone that voting is the be all and end all. I don't believe that. But I believe that it's just one thing that we can do. I don't think that it's something that's going to fix everything. But we have new techniques. People are now getting very creative in how they suppress the vote. And this is important for us to know about that.
Now, Mustafaa, how can people get involved? First of all, how can people get involved with this specific event that you're having on the 21st, I believe?
Right. They can go to auhouston.org and click on that and go to the events link. And there's a link in there that says register here. That's all you have to do. It's going to be by Zoom. So that'll make it easy for people to attend. And that's all you have to do. Just let me get
the website correct. It's
auhouston.org, or they can actually go to our Facebook, which is the same thing, AU Houston, and click on that, and you can register on Facebook. But the website is auhouston.org. Go to the event. There's a link there that says register here, and look up. It'll be in the events section, and it'll say voter suppression, Christian nationalism's attempt to control who votes.
I will make sure to include that link in the blog, the accompanying blog of this interview. Now, I imagine that you're going to have replays of that session for people later on as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, there will be a replay of the session, or you'll be able to replay it after. It's going to be recorded. So we really encourage people to attend. We already have there's been a good sign up of, I'm thinking close to 100 so far.
Right.
So please, we want people to be educated in terms of some of the new nuances to voter suppression now. And the important thing is for them to just, go to our website and sign in and please attend.
It is so important, folks. So please listen. You see why we have Mustafaa Carroll here? Because again, this, especially in these times, it's in 2 months that are less than 2 months that we have an election. We have to know all the tricks, etc. And most importantly, I'm glad you guys are doing this more than 30 days before the election, because that is generally the cutoff period for making sure that you are registered to vote. So go ahead.
Don't just register, go and vote. I mean, we get people registered. I've been doing that for the last 30 years. But going to vote, I don't care what they're doing. If they just have one polling place and we have to stand in line, we should go vote. Early voting is always much easier. So, I don't miss voting. I don't wait till the day of to vote. I vote early. The first day that early voting is there, I'm voting. And I'm going to vote until I die, God willing, because, too many people died for us to have that right. Exactly. And when people say it doesn't matter, it bothers me. Too many folks put their lives out there and died. I mean, I wish I could just show everybody how many folks died just to get us the right to vote. So as long as I'm living, I'm going to vote.
Any closing words, Mustafaa?
Yes, please attend this. It's a very important program. I think that people will get a lot from it. They'll learn a lot. They'll be educated. And again, we're not against anybody's religion, but this is an attempt to limit the amount of folks who vote, or the people who they see not who they would not like to see vote. And I think it's important for us to understand that these types of things have been going on forever. It's just getting more sophisticated now.
Mustafaa Carroll, community activist, friend of KPFT, friend of the world. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
All right. Thank you, Egberto.
Historian Michael Bleslov has some prescient words that I think we should heed. I mean, let's go ahead and play them, and then we'll take it on the other side.
When Democrats start talking about abortion, Republicans need to have something to say, and so far they do not.
Now, one of the big races left, though, is this coming Tuesday in Wyoming, and this was Liz Cheney's closing message in an ad.
If we do not condemn these lies, if we do not hold those responsible to account, we will be excusing this conduct, and it will become a feature of all elections. America will never be the same.
So, Michael, she is so far behind, but she may well have national aspirations. She could be setting the stage. She's raising a lot of money from Democrats. As much as they disagree with her on social issues, they are so impressed with the way she has co-led this committee, the January 6th committee.
All true, and not impossible that she might run someday third party for president of the United States, maybe in 24. We're guessing here. But I think the thing is that you'd expect an historian to say this, so I apologize in advance, but 20 years from now, look back on the midterms of 2022. What was at stake was not so much some of the things that we hear about, but whether this turned out to be a democracy or not, with rule of law and elections where the real winner is the one who takes office, not the loser who is declared the winner. Those things are open questions right now. So all I would say is there was once a slogan, this time, this fall, vote like your life really depended on it. It really does.
Absolutely. So vote like your lives depend on it, because it actually does. Now, when we take a look at Liz Cheney or any one of the very conservative Republicans that came out of that came out of the Trump what would we call paranoia, or the Trump indoctrination, I think we got to give them kudos. I think we have to give them kudos. But what Beschloss is saying here is something that I believe, but not only something that I believe, but something I think will have a material effect, not only on 2022, but on 2024. Because ultimately speaking, the majority of Americans, while they may have their prejudices, while they may have their concerns, while they may have their ideologies, there's one thing most of us like to believe, that we are different than many others, that we are a democracy, and there is a good chance that when many go into that booth, unlike what they did in 2020, when it was almost a protest vote to elect Donald Trump. Well, I should start in 2016, when it was almost a protest vote, the amount of votes he got, but that in 2020 he got that many. That fever, I think, is breaking. Why? Because the person who would like to become the fascist in chief is such a poor instantiation of said ideology that it turns people off. Now, let me tell you one other thing. We need to change a lot of institutional laws, etc., because somebody much more apt than Donald Trump would have pulled it off. I want to address something. Eric says, question, do you consider this working, or is the same thing you think of billionaires? And I'm not sure what he's talking about. The world's most followed TikToker gets paid as much as $750K per post. But to reach his greatest business goal, Kabi Lame is binge watching American cartoons. If I consider that working, no. Did you expect me to say yes? That's a capitalist system that he's in as well, right? Let me give an example, okay? And this is what I'm trying to talk about. This guy goes out there and he gets people to do all kind of skits in the streets. He puts it on TikTok. TikTok gives him a lot of coverage because a lot of people gravitate to that kind of crap, right? Okay, that's fine. But it's TikTok that's rewarding him because they want a lot of people doing stupid things out there so that others would watch it, and they're compensating him for making some billionaires even more billions. He is a part of the problem as well. Look, I love what he does. I sit down on TikTok and I go through TikTok and I love it. I love laughing. I love all the pranks that they do. But are those pranks worth these guys making the kind of money that they're making? No. I mean, because let's be frank. I'm here, not as good looking as the guy that you. Oh, let me put it on the screen. Let me put it on the screen. I'm not as good looking a guy as this guy here, and I'm not as hip as this guy. I'm not as cool. I don't live in a great, beautiful, multi-story, big house with probably lavishing things like he does. But I guarantee you that as far as enlightened Americans, myself, TYT, Rodnan, and all these folks are providing more access to society. Bridge was a professor. Bridge taught a whole bunch of folk. This guy didn't even have to go to school to do this. That's where, the capitalist system by definition says capitalism is the efficient allocation of resources. How efficient an allocation if he can take out $750K per post and we can't get a post to get folks educated to bring in any cash. My posts, if I make 10 cents on it, it would be great. Now, what actually gives substance? He gets a lot of views, and in his views, you know what else he gets? He gets to promote Exxon and all these other big corporations. So that's what he's paid for. He's paid to screw us all up. Well, we pay Exxon to pay him to screw us all up. And that's what I said. Capitalism, by definition, claims it is the efficient allocation of resources. My contention is that Bridge MCP as a teacher, Michael Rodnan in the profession that he's, all of them are more important to society. Norman Reynolds as an engineer, Roberto Lewis as an engineer, Yvette Avery as a union specialist and a UPS worker. They are all more important to society than this guy. But this guy is a tool of capitalism. And he will be rewarded because he's willing to go out there and do that job. Oh, my brother Bruce on the MRI. How was the MRI? You got to give me a call and let me know. Give me an update, Bruce. Right now I'm having some severe blood pressure problems that it's still super high and they're trying to control it. They just gave me another medication. It's my fault. Went ahead and while I was in Washington, D.C., didn't exercise and gained some weight. My fault. But I got to get it down, so I have to take some weight off real quick. Went from 198 or something to 220. I got to get rid of that. 223 actually, what I found out yesterday at the doctor's office. So I got to get that 25 pounds off. But here's the deal. That is a good one that you brought, Eric. I love it because you give me a chance to prove a point. The CEO also is no different than this guy. The CEO just goes ahead and plays with people to maximize his personal income and the income of the shareholders. No different than what this guy does. So I hope you get it. Anyway, it's about that time for me to try to, since I can't make $750K on my post, I'm going to ask all of you to support me how you can to keep doing the necessary work that we need to do, as opposed to a guy like this who's making $750K, per post. Per post. And I swear to you, this is an envy. I don't mind rich people who work for what they have. I mind rich folks who don't do a thing. Especially, when I work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Few days I've been getting 8 hours of sleep to try to help myself calm down. But you guys get what I mean. And it really irks you that there are people starving. There are women going to work every day to be a secretary, to be even a doctor, whatever, and they're not making that kind of cash, and they're providing so much for society. But it is our economic system that claims to be an efficient allocation of resources, look up the definition of capitalism, that is really a poor example. I mean, and he's not, I mean, he's just one of thousands of examples, right? That's all. Thousands of examples. But anyhow, folks, I love you, Breach. Yeah, I know it's also stress. You're right, baby. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Before I go for my ask, saludos, mi gente, Roberto. Great topic. Elaborate on what enterprise economic system and capitalism. I will, Lou. Let me go ahead and play my ask. Let's see. Well, I hope the PDR posse can get behind decent non-MAGA Republicans. Guess what? You present me a decent non-MAGA Republican in a conservative area, he can come on my show and I will verbally support him. But you heard the requirements. Let me go ahead and play my ask, and then I'll be right back.
Please get one of my several books out there. As I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, for a contribution of $120. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors for a contribution of $120. How to make America utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it, for a pledge of $120. Get any 2 of those books for $200, any 3 of those books for $250. The contributions from my books go directly to support our station, KPFT 90.1 FM. Alternatively, folks, please get your basic KPFT only membership for $40, a Pacifica only membership for $25, or choose from one of our many other gifts for your contribution. Just go to kpft.org. Choose Politics Done Right for the program and select an option either for our books or something else to support the station. It is definitely worth it.
Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. Today we are speaking to somebody who has gone into the lion's dens. Louie Gohmert's District 1 in Texas, a decidedly red district. But you know what we've said over at Politics Done Right? It does not happen until it does. And you have to be brave to go in there and say, I am going to convince all these folks that for all these years been lied to, been promised things, and have gotten nothing, but because of who some claim they are, they simply continue to win. So Jamar Jefferson's going to change that. Jamar Jefferson wants to change that. Welcome to Politics Done Right, Jamar Jefferson. How are you doing this morning?
You know, it's just a blessing to be here, be alive. I get this opportunity to be as above, so below, to do as thy will. So my will is to try to make it better for not just East Texas, but all of us.
Now, you are in District 1, Louie Gohmert's district. Louie Gohmert is not running anymore. Many of us know Louie Gohmert as someone who was decidedly different. Now, why did you decide that you were going to attempt to win in Louie Gohmert's district, which wasn't built for, to put it bluntly, for you?
Well, the entire system wasn't built for us. So we'll start back so we know how to overcome, because we're overcomers. This is my 13th campaign. I've been out in California running against the system, and I'm a proud Democrat, but we have a lot of problems in our own party with the division. We choose and pick the leaders that best suit special interests, and the people are usually left out. So I got into politics because my father is one of the longest serving persons on death row in Texas history. His name is Delmer Banks Jr. And in 2012, when the Supreme Court remanded his case back, I couldn't understand why my father had to take a plea deal because he was denied a new trial. So I ended up going back to school to be a teacher, and I never voted until I was 33, 34. I'm 41 right now. And for the last 8 years, I've been in politics nonstop, just indulging myself in losing and learning. And I've been going to everything. So my cousin died last year here in Dallas. He froze to death under the failed administration of Greg Abbott and the failed leadership of Senator Ted Cruz not securing funding to fix the power grid, and their refusal to plug into a system that's more reliable than our own. He froze to death, and they took him to the morgue instead of to the hospital, and it broke my heart because I'm a twin. And my mom said, you should come back home because there's no one like you in Texas, and you need to help the people where you grew up from. And I was like, no, Mom, this is my third time running for Congress in California. I'm finna be omnibearer. They just redistricted him and took him halfway out of his district. I'm ready. Jefferson for Congress. But when that happened, I looked at it. I said, this is a tough district to win. But as I looked at the numbers, and I remember what happened in 1965 with Lyndon B. Johnson calling us the N-word every time he took a breath. He said that if we let the Negroes vote, they'll be loyal to us for 100 years. Well, that 100 years has passed, and we ain't got nothing but the same Democratic rhetoric as ever. Now, we have a lot of good Democrats. We have a lot of good Republicans. But what we're looking for is good Americans, because in 1965, where in my opinion, the start of the political civil war happened, because we're in a civil war, in my opinion, between the Democrat and Republican Party, the two-party system. They're fighting against each other for control and to control our budget. I came back and I said, there's really more Democrats here, because I looked at the history of our district, and Max Sanderling, he had it for forever. And a lot of people told me the only reason I had a woman named Nancy Nichols call me. She said, Jamar, if Black people come out to vote you a win, you'll be the first Black man to ever even run. And I was like, that's going to be hard. That's a hard sell. And I got a lot of optimistic. I'm very optimistic and passionate, and I'm a believer. But it's tough. It's been tough. But I believe that I had a dream. Some said, listen, no guts, no glory. And are you the baddest Democrat in the land? Or are you not? I said, I am the baddest Democrat in the land. Well, go take the reddest district in the country. And I've been trying, and we're trying.
Well, let me tell you, and I think that, that is the spirit. You have to go out there and talk to people. And I love something that you said. There are good Democrats and there are good Republicans. And I think especially in this time of flux, Jamar, I think every single Texan in District 1 in East Texas will go into that booth and realize that the vote is between themselves, that computer or paper, whatever they vote on, and God. And their friends. Peer pressure in politics has a lot to do with how people vote. And yes. I think that if you make that case respectfully, civilly, with every single East Texan, irrespective of ethnicity, irrespective of ideology, with respective of religion, I do think that on November 8th, there could be a surprise for many, not only in East Texas, but not only in Texas, but nationally. And the thing about it is a passion that I see with which you speak to people. I got a call right after the Democratic convention, and the first thing they said is, there's this dude out there, his name is Jamar Jefferson. You have got to get him on Politics Done Right, because he is going for Gohmert's district. And not only that, but he's talking to everybody. So tell me a little bit about how you're engaging in your district.
Well, in this district, I took everything that I learned that I did wrong from the previous elections, and I'm here. No one knew me. I'm starting over. I'm a fresh candidate, but I'm an experienced candidate.
Right.
I've helped people win, but everybody used me as the grounds person. Hey, Jamar, deliver these 100,000 flyers to 100,000 homes. Yes, you gonna pay the people? I know they didn't pay me. I did this for love, because I have grit.
Right.
Grit wins games. Grit wins elections when people think it's impossible to win. But personally, I possibly maybe talk to over 50,000 people myself. I'm in my minivan. I ran into Beto at least at about 15 different events, right? Since I filed in November, we've been nonstop in the minivan. I've been through my district 7 times. It's over 1,500 miles.
I know it includes Nacogdoches and Angelina. I mean, it's amazing.
No, they moved when they did the illegal redistricting, right? To minimize our vote and to defraud the census of proportional representation.
Right.
They moved Nacogdoches and Lufkin out and put Texas County in. So I thought when I came back, I'll be running against Pat Ballard. Right? He was picked out of a straw, right? They literally picked him out of a straw because I admire what the Republicans do. They don't battle each other like that.
Right.
They get behind one person, and if any other Republican want to jump in, you on your own. We're gonna see if you can take out Goliath, David. And so essentially, just talking to people. My message out in California. One of my mentors was the former Republican chair of Sacramento, because a lot of people wouldn't accept me because when I saw what the Democrats were doing wrong out there, I called it out. When I saw people sleeping up on the bridges and I went to a council meeting nonstop, I say, listen, this is an easy fix. You have a $1.1 billion budget. You have, according to your own records, you have over 19,000 vacant lots. We can refurbish. We have 5,000? Homeless, let's refurbish 2,500 of them, 5,000 of them, turn them to duplexes. 2,500, turn them into duplexes, and we can get people off the streets. We can eliminate panhandling by putting up posters saying, do not invest into the war on drugs by giving money to the people who are put out on the corners by the drug dealers. Why? Just give it to the city, put it inside. We could have got rid of the parking meters and tell people to make your donation there. And that way we could have opened up what I'm saying, feed the people programs, to where the cities should be buying restaurants so that any American who is hungry can go in with dignity and get a meal 3 times a day. There's a better way to do this, but we're not doing politics right because special interests have hijacked the system the same way they came and stole this land. So it's a mentality.
No, it's funny that you use the word they're not doing politics right, because now you are on the program called Politics Done Right. Okay, so interestingly, Jamar, what is very important here is there are a lot of specifics within your district that I find I am very concerned that even Democrats that have run before, even your opponent, never actually used. And I have a question to ask you about them using it. Example, right now in the entire East Texas, hospitalization, having hospitals that people can go to. Some of them are closing, some of them are on reduced task for one specific reason, and that is because the Texas delegation, mostly comprised of Republicans, have not done anything, and the Texas legislature have not done anything to take the money that Texans are already contributing to the Medicaid expansion, to the Affordable Care Act. They are still not taking their share out of that pocket simply because they don't want to claim they're using the Affordable Care Act. Just because. Are you letting your constituency know that their representatives, both federally and state, are getting them killed? And that getting them killed has nothing to do with being black or white. It simply has to do with them getting a hell of a lot of green.
Well, it boils down to this. It's a pride and ego thing. It's not about public service. As the highest form of representation for anyone in East Texas, I tell people all the time, we need Beto and we need Greg Abbott out, right? He's a bad leader. He's bad for Texas. Louie Gohmert, he was bad for East Texas. And my opponent, Nathaniel Moran, he's bad for East Texas. He's a special interest. Give a prime example. He led the charge to sue the pharmaceutical companies, and they got over $1 billion. and that money is not working, it's trickling down to help the people who were most affected by it. So as a member of Congress, when we win, because they just did a report saying he might be able to beat the expectation because we're looking at the margins. So it is possible that even though everyone has written off this race, they forgot that I am JJ. I don't play. Well, one of the things we can do to counter ignorance or selfishness, because that's what we're dealing with, selfish, indulged leaders. I have a bill that I want to introduce called HELA, the Healthcare Investment Literacy Act, where we invest in the literacy of our healthcare to have a healthier and stronger America. Being that many rural areas, such as Red River County, a hospital that has been abandoned for over 8 years, we have places in Dangerfield, Mount Pleasant, where people have to drive 30 minutes to an hour to get health care when they need it. We need to put inside the budget as a representative to where we can go straight directly to the providers and bypass the states, right? Why? Because these people are paying their taxes, or we are the collateral for our loan, and that loan money is not being allocated correctly. So the things that I can do, number one, hand everybody in Congress a constitution, and then when I see them breaking it, we sue them, and I go to the sergeant of arms. See, a lot of the stuff, the reason it's allowed to happen because most people in Congress are lawyers, and their first duty is to the bar and the court, not to the people. So if you know this, and you know the language of allegiance of most people in Congress is not to the American people, it's to the Bar Association, and then it's to the integrity to protect the court. Well, you can counter that with a Title 1982. You can do writ of mandamus, writs. And once you start talking a legal language to these individuals, they straighten up real fast, because a lawyer is nothing but an independent contractor, right? He's personally responsible for their duty. Plus, it's in the Constitution that bribery is illegal. So there's things that we can do to make sure that people get access to healthcare in East Texas. Like one of the things inside HELA I wanted to do, we have 100,000 veterans that live in my district. And I say our district, but I want to be the representative. And we need a facility for our veterans. We need oh my goodness, it just went blank on me.
Well, the veterans, you're wanting to build for the veterans.
We need a VA here in East Texas so people don't have to travel to a VA hospital, so they don't have to travel to Shreveport to Dallas. We need to also make sure we can have voucher programs so that our veterans can pick their own provider, because once again, we're dealing with special interests. Most people don't know how the government actually works. That's the most shocking thing. We get a budget and Congress makes laws, and we allocate budgets, create the budgets to allocate it. So I want to make sure that I have my big bucket. When the budget is passed, we supposed to get some of this. We want some money from here, and we want some money from here. And I think with good leadership, I sing a song called "This Little Light of Mine." I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. And when other members of Congress who are afraid because the big fish, such as Nancy Pelosi and Kevin McCarthy, they get to eat first. No, I'm going to be a piranha right there. Give me that, because East Texas needs someone who cares about them, because I was one of those children that they didn't give a damn about. And I want to make sure that stops, because poverty creates crime.
Absolutely. So, and I trust that you're going through your entire community, every single corner of your community to not only introduce yourself, but to tell folks this is what Jamar Jefferson is going to do when Jamar Jefferson gets into office.
Absolutely. We're excited about talking. People are saying that I've talked to more people than other candidates combined. Right now, we're going through 100 cities. We got JJ's driving through East Texas. Oh, yeah. So we're setting it up right now, starting on, we had to post it back. We had to push everything back to give me a couple of days because I had a hate crime happen to me, and it affected me. But, I'm not going to lay hate.
Stop. What? Please let me know what happened.
So as we was doing our drive, we had an event in Longview. It was great. We had to be in Carthage, at 6 o'clock. So we were gassing up at 12 o'clock in Longview, Texas to go to Carthage. And as I was at the Sam's Club, which I'm a member of, have been for a while, I was getting gas and my card would not work. So I was sliding my card and I went and knocked on the door of the gas person attendant. And I said, hey, my card's not working. Could you give me a courtesy slide? Because they do that. And they said, yeah. He said, I know you. You JJ? I said, yeah. He said, man, how do I register to vote? I want to vote for you, man. I'm excited. I've been seeing your signs up everywhere. I said, well, what are your concerns? And we're walking to the gas pump. So while he's doing this, there's a fellow American who has to be a European descent, 65 plus older. He's just looking at me like this. Right. So I'm a nice person. I nodded at him and I said, well, how you doing, sir? And he did like this and I just left it alone. And so the young man said, how can I vote? I said, well, we got an event. Let me get your number. And I reached in to get two of these.
Right.
These are my pieces, my rack card pieces that I'm pushing on JJ. So I went and I said, here you go. And I just gestured to the guy, hey, this young man is trying to unite us. Now it says on the front, Democrats, Republicans, Independent, United for a Better America.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's my message, always have been. He said, can I say the words or you want me to believe it out? He said, I don't want the SHIT.
No, you can't say the words.
I don't want that. You people, what's wrong with this country? Y'all messing it up. I said, what I do? I'm just trying to make it better. He said, yeah. He kept starting cussing me out, saying all kinds of negative things. So me, I got thick skin. I turned to the young American who happened to be Asian, looked like he's 21. And I said, I'm so glad as we move forward, we're going to forget the past, remember, but we're going to focus on fixing problems and moving together. Then he reached in, he said, you're right. So he embraced me and gave me a hug. And then that guy said, I looked over, he said, you full of air. And he was going back to get his gas. So while I was embracing the young man, I just happened to look over and I saw somebody act like that. He with his pump, like he wanted to douse gas on me. So I said, you better not throw that gas on me. You better not. I raised my tone and then he stopped. He stopped going towards the gas pump to put it back up. And he looked at it and he said, I'll hose you down and set you on fire. And I froze, right? I ain't never had anybody say they're going to set me on fire.
Wow.
I looked down the barrel of that gas pump. I said, oh, he finna dash me with this gas. Because people don't know, I've been in a bad car wreck before where I should be dead. And I saw my life flash before my eyes. So that feeling and emotion came back up and I believed him. And then immediately I prayed in my head because I'm Semitic and I believe in the Creator. And I said, what shall I do? And I said, you better not do that. There's no forgiveness for the wicked. If you dash me with that gas, you will go to the lake of fire and you will burn with brimstone. And there's no forgiveness. How can you do this to an American? And then he snapped out. It's like he was in a trance of hate. And he snapped out and he did like this. And he looked at what he was doing. And then he went and put it up. And then I was shocked. I was like left in stage of shock. And I turned to the young man. He said, wow. I said, you heard that? He said, yes. And all of a sudden I looked to my left. I had my campaign manager behind me in her car. And it was older African-American lady in a red Cadillac. And she was like, telling me to come here. So I moved through. I'm in shock the whole time. I said, ma'am, I'm finna have her to move. She said, no, I don't have my card. Could you help me? I said, yeah, I got you. So I went and got my wallet, got my card, came and paid for her gas, pumped her gas for her, and I went back. It was $37. She had $40 in her hand. I said, let me go get you some change. So I went and got my wallet, got her, gave her $4. She gave me the $40. I'm just a good Samaritan. I look for opportunities to help people. But I went and got in my car and I was shocked and I was a little emotional because I was like, wow, I believe he was going to burn me alive. because, I froze. I didn't want to have my phone or anything. I don't want to reach for anything at that moment because he could have probably thought I was reaching for a weapon and he could have, shot me down, reached for his gun. This is an open and carry state and people use fear. I do got the complexion to get away. So I just, hey, I'm like this, I'm froze. So I was in the car and I stood there for like 5 minutes and I was like, wow, that man really wanted to kill me. So I called my twin brother and I said, bro, do you know what just happened to me? He said, what? I'm driving off Sam's. I didn't want to say nothing at first. And I said, this guy said he threatened to hose me down with gas and set me on fire. He said, you still there? I said, no. He said, go back, because if you did that to anybody, you're going to be in jail and you're going to prison. So I turned around. I called a few more people, my consulting company that I'm working with, and I called a supporter of mine, Miss Mary Lou. She said, Jamar, someone pulled a gun on me and this is going too far. And if you don't stand up, who will? And if not now, then when? And so I sought, counsel from the people that I love and have respect for, and people that's on my team. So when I went back to call the police came out there and he gave me no respect. He didn't take it serious. He said he don't believe that a gas pump is a weapon. I said, well, if I turned that active gas pump on you, you have every right to shoot me down. He said, no, it has to be justified. I said, so you don't think that's a weapon? No, he said he ought to do it. I said, he ought to do it. It don't matter if he said ought to. Did he spray you? I said, the man threatened my life. And if we don't make an example of him now, he's going to go hurt somebody. Just like that young killer in Uvalde. They knew ahead of time that they call him a school shooter, right? It's called foreseeable negligence. And right now, the state of Texas should be sued for not invoking the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia necessary for the security of a free state and the right of the people to bear arms. It never says the right of the individuals, and those people must secure the state. And how can we have security if the militia doesn't exist? It's a free for all here. And we need the governor, Craig Abbott. He has failed in his fiduciary duty to regulate a militia. So I was fearful that this unregulated person could have just shot me down. And I'm here for a mission I'm not trying to be a martyr. I'm not trying to be a martyr, especially with the disrespect that I'm having in my own district. I'm the first. When you're the first, you really get it, right? I'm the first African-American, even though it says Negro on my birth certificate, right? So I say that few other Negro Americans, they don't like that, but it's a split. It's a big war going on in East Texas because most of the Republican Party is full of former Democrats.
Right.
And they literally, I have Democrats who work for Republicans. They tell me I can't really help you because I might lose my job. My boss is very conservative. And, I've been getting all kinds of harassment. I'll chop your signs down. And who do you think you is? And people brash weapons. But this cut the cake. I've never had it like this where it affect me. I've looked down the barrel of a gun. I mean, get out the way, right? Get out of the line of fire. But you can't get out of line if somebody talking about hosing you down. Shit go everywhere. And he said his intention was to set me on fire. So that affected me. I was emotional for like at least, this happened last week. It took me like 3-4 days to get over this.
Because it is absolutely serious, my friend. Look, I am glad that you recounted that story because that story on its own is intense. But let me tell you, for every bad person you run into, and I'm sure since you speak to so many people, there's so many good people. And just like we don't want the reflection of one bad person to actually be representative of us all, we can't let the reflection of those bad folks to change that positive energy that you are putting out there, that positive energy, because the positive energy is what's going to make you win. The positive energy is what's going to let people see he has overcome what they've thrown at him with dignity, perseverance, and character. Last question I always ask is, tell me something you wish I had asked you that I didn't.
Ask me, why am I doing this?
Mr. Jamar Jefferson, why are you running for Congress in District 1, a district once controlled by Louie Gohmert, and we know who he is?
Well, my father, once again, he's in prison. I actually found out who the killer was, and they knew about it. And when I was a child, no one came to my high school, and told me to register to vote. Nobody told me that you can be anything. You're going to be just like your father, a murderer in prison. And when my father took that plea deal, it broke me. It really bothered me. Like me coming back when my cousin died here in Texas and they took him to the morgue instead of to the hospital because he froze to death, right? Asphyxiation, I believe is what it is. But I came back home because I left to figure out how to come back home to become somebody, like in that movie Leonidas, when he left as a boy, when he came back to Spartan King. Hail to the king, 300, woo, woo. You know what they did in the movie.
Right.
So I feel like that moment, coming here, overcoming all the obstacles, even though he sacrificed himself for the people, which I'm more than willing to do. I just want to make sure that the future is for all of us, not just some of us. It's a saying that 85% of the people are followers, 10% are creators and 5% are observers. I just happen to be all three. I'm a follower, I'm a creator, and I'm an observer. But the 10% get mad at the 5%, which I'm in, and because they feel like we're going to mess it up for them. I tell people sustainability is what George Washington was talking about. The virtue of America is the economy. And if we can't keep the economy that works for all of us and it creates poverty, we create jobs for a few of us, sort of like the police department, the war on drugs, the border patrol. These are things that's we focus more on the outside instead of the inside. The drugs are coming through the air and under the ground, and it's affecting the community because the community are seeking drugs because they're miserable. Because the one thing, I don't know what people need, but I know what we're not getting, and that's opportunities, and the opportunities to first let someone know that we care about you. So I'm running most of all just to let people know that I care about you, and people know how much you care about how much you're willing to sacrifice regardless of the outcome. So I'm running for Congress because there was no one in my life ever, including Barack Obama. I mean, he was a great president, but the Affordable Care Act, I'm in the middle, right? So there was nothing that directly benefited my generation. So if you're 45 to 25, I mean, we have to build for the future because right now, Social Security will be insolvent in the 2030s. Before 2040. And there will be nothing left from us. Most of the older people right now who do own the properties, who have sold them now to foreigners, we have to rent the American dream. That's the reason we need home ownership programs to where people my age can have the dignity of owning, or at least subconsciously thinking you own, because we own nothing.
Right.
Or at least have a stability. I'm huge on stability. Our children feel safe. We should have resources following our children home so that if they are in a marginalized community, that we can send resources home because poor people pay more taxes than rich people. This is proven. Right? Because rich people, they go to the state of Delaware and they operate in a trust, and it's three different Americas. It's the trust people operate, the corporate people, and it's the rest of us, the tax slaves, the obligees. And so essentially, I just want to make sure that I do my part to build that bridge to the future so we can make it better.
Jamar Jefferson, Democratic candidate for District 1 to replace Louie Gohmert. I think you are an impressive young man, and I wish you all the luck. And I tell you what, bring it home to the people. Bring it home for your entire district. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
I know this may be a shameful plug, but can I say this? I would like for everybody to follow me. Go to my website on jeffersonforcongress.com. It has been very difficult trying to get other congressional candidates to support candidates, even those that are in winning seats, like Jasmine Crockett, Mark Veazey, Sheila Jackson Lee, and we've only raised about $21,000. I had to invest a lot of my own money. I gave my last $65,000 that I have because I believe in this, and we need to raise funds because I believe we can win this race. So if people can go hit that Act Blue at jeffersonforcongress.com, or if you would like to mail a check at 510 East Loop 281 Suite B 746 Longview, Texas 75605. All donations are appreciated. The max that you can give is $2,900, or at least send $5. I'm appreciative because a mailer costs 62 cents, and we are targeting 150,000 homes. We need to break record numbers, and we can do this with your help. We're going to win, but we're going to win at last minute. So the help is going to come at the end. We're building a historic campaign here to set us up for the future, so that we can get people with common sense back in leadership. So thank you so much.
Jamar Jefferson, from your mouth to America. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you so much. Y'all favor you all.
You can listen and or watch Politics Done Right Mondays through Fridays on Facebook Live at facebook.com/Politics Done Right, or on YouTube Live at politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. Please do not forget to follow me on Twitter for updates. My Twitter handle is @EgbertoWillies, @EgbertoWillies. But don't you forget, listen to us live on air at KPFT 90.1 FM on Thursdays at noon and at Fridays at 11 a.m. all Central Time. Please remember to keep your community radio station in your minds. Keep KPFT on your mind. Talk about it. Tell your friends about it. Tell them you know about this station in town, 90.1 FM Houston, that needs your support. That is there to provide that nourishment that we need. KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. Well, folks, that's it for today. You know how I'm going to end this baby. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EgbertoWillies. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.